I'd like to welcome on the stage Chris Heavily, SVP GM for Disney Mobile Games at the Walt Disney Company, who'll be interviewed by AJ Glasser, Developer Relations for Games at Facebook. Please give them a warm welcome.
Fist bump.
Would you prefer the couch or the chair?
I'll take the couch.
All right. We are the last session of the day, I think.
Last session.
Yeah, you guys are hardcore, so we'll just jump right into it. Chris, Disney Interactive had a wild time in social and mobile, from Where's My Water to Frozen Freefall. Can you walk us through the last 12 months?
Yeah, so, we've had several different iterations on our strategy. We've had people who have said, well, we need to be like EA. And then we've had people who have said, well, no, the social mobile thing was happening, or social games. We need to be like Zynga. And 12 months ago, we sort of hit reboot on the whole thing and said, let's be Disney. Let's run our own race. I've been at Disney for 13 years. I love Disney. My team, we were able to sell some of the studios that were focused on original IP, not focused on Disney. And the folks that we have internally now making games are, incredibly passionate about making really authentic Disney, Star Wars, Marvel experiences. The other thing we've done is we've really embraced the third-party development community. So through a model we call co-development. So, we want to work with the best creators that are out there. And we're working with them where folks like the Frozen Freefall studio, Genera, they make the game, they develop the game, we collaborate with them on creative, we publish the game, we market the game, we leverage our network. And so that model's worked really well for us. So we've launched, we had Frozen Freefall that was already a top grossing hit in mobile. We've launched 2 other top grossing hits over the past year, Star Wars Commander and Inside Out. And then we have several other, if you look at the rest of our portfolio, we have around 7 titles, 7 additional titles that are top grossing games with our various IP through licensing. So, we're really focused right now on building the publishing side of our business, and where we're working with licensor or licensees, we're really working with licensees who are either bigger than us from a publishing perspective or just have incredible assets and talent that we couldn't get access to otherwise. But that strategy of just focusing on quality and authenticity and making games that deserve to have the Disney or Star Wars or Marvel name on them has worked really well for us.
So your background was actually with the Disney Princess franchise, right?
Disney Toys, but one of my bigger franchises was Princess, yes.
So in going from princesses to more male brands like Star Wars and Marvel joining the Disney family, what has that really done to your strategy and how you approach the market?
Well, when it comes to games, what Star Wars and Marvel have allowed us to do is really go after the mid-core and core audience in a stronger way. I mean, almost everyone in the gaming space, in the core gaming space and the console space is very focused on the male demographic. Disney's kind of in the opposite situation, where we've always been very strong with kids and families. We've been strong with Nintendads. We've been strong with moms. But we've never really had core and mid-core gamers, and a lot of our properties just don't lend themselves to that. And so,
good at the moment, yeah.
And so, hello.
Oh.
And so, what we've been able to do with Star Wars and Marvel is really reach those audiences, and we're kind of a unique company in that we touch everyone in the family, And one of the things I think you'll see from us in the future is trying to figure out how do we do more around the multi-generational component that our IP brings to the party. Star Wars, a big part of its success is that it's a shared rite of passage between father and son in a lot of ways. And so that, we want to start to make games
Father and daughter too.
Father and daughter too. But we want to make games that play to those dynamics, right? Those multi-generational dynamics.
So let's talk a bit then about your audiences. So how do you know when an audience is ready for something? So we've got a Star Wars reboot coming out, a Star Wars movie franchise coming out, but how do you know that they're ready for their Black Cauldron game or their Great Mouse Detective game, to get a little more obscure with the Disney?
Yeah, well, one of the things we started to do is we have multi-IP games that give us the ability to try stuff. So,
Can you give me an example?
yeah, so if you look at a game like Tsum Tsum, which is not as big in the States, but is a phenomenon in Japan and Asia, that is all the Disney characters. And so in a game like that, we can bring characters into it and see how they perform. And we're finding, with all of the things that are happening in performance creative, performance marketing, UA, the way we're doing it, BI and our ability to measure what characters people are playing with in games. We're learning all kinds of cool things. So, for example, like guess which. Have you seen Inside Out?
No.
Okay. So joy, anger, sadness, fear of those characters, which would you think is the one that more people click through? The most commercial character, the character that most people click through to install a game of all those characters. And the main character in the movie is joy.
Is it sadness?
It's sadness.
I have a theory behind that. I think that Inside Out was targeted toward people who are kind of about to go through that point in life where they're maturing, and it was a movie that spoke to children as though they were going to grow into adults and not grow into children.
Yeah, and she's the character that transforms the most in the film. She's kind of the hero in a lot of ways of the film. So, we're starting to create vehicles where we can test things like that and learn, and then use those insights to drive other games.
So. That's how you tell that they're ready. How do you tell that they're ready to say goodbye when it's time to sunset a game, for example?
Well, one of the things that we're starting to do is try to create a model for sustaining games when they sort of reach the point that you can't really live op them in the traditional way. So we've set up a whole team that does that. But we look at the audience and we say, are people still playing this game? Is there a significant community around this? Can we support ongoing content development? Can we do a good job? There's some times where with a game, it might make financial sense to continue to run the game, but you can't do a good job of maintaining the brand experience. And at that point, we would rather sunset the game than let the audience down. So, but we are trying to get better at trying to figure out how do we sort of run these games on the long tail where we provide a really satisfying experience, and we continue to update content, but we maybe don't do new features, and we do it with a pure sustainment team, that kind of thing.
Of games that you have had to bid goodbye to, what was the one that was kind of the hardest to let go of?
Well, it's on the PC space, but it was TTown. It had a pretty small audience by the time that we shut it down, but it's still a very passionate audience, and I still get accosted at dinner parties and barbecues, and we would love to bring back Toontown someday in some form. I think it's always hardest with games that kind of have that community element, and Toontown really had that.
What about a property where it has a really passionate audience already and you haven't really leveraged it yet in a game? Do you have any kind of anxiety around how to connect authentically with that audience? How do you deal with that?
I think the biggest challenge that we have as a traditional entertainment company is that we tend to have, if you look at Pixar, for example, they have a director-driven process where the story is being created by, it's a team, but it's a small group of people who own the story, and then they, and they take incredible pride over continuity and consistency. And the second you bring those worlds into the gaming space, you give the player agency. And now they are part of the story and they're making story. And so the thing that we spend a lot of time doing is working with those creators to help identify, how do we give the players that agency while still maintaining the things that maintain the fiction, respect the fiction and respect the creator's vision. So it becomes there's this push-pull that can be a very positive thing around, we're starting to give the story and the IP to a certain degree to the audience, and how do we welcome them into that?
How do you encourage people to kind of share what they're doing with your creations and how they're kind of participating?
And things when we were doing more MMOs, there was a ton of emergent gameplay around that. Club Penguin has, hundreds of thousands of videos on YouTube that kids have created because it can just kind of be a little TV set for their, animated show that they're making. But one of the things that we're thinking about a lot more, especially with the maker folks in the fold, is, the social kind of net effects and what happens to the game outside of the game. You know, how do you build community? How do you build games in a way that you allow people to share? For example, we have a game that we're going to launch this week that is a co-developed game with a great company called Zendagi, and it's called Disney Dream Treats. And that game, one of the things we liked about Zendagi's engine is they allow you to take photos of your friends and your family and bring them into the game. And the whole conceit is you're at Disneyland and you're going to the different, the Disney parks, and you're going to the different restaurants, and you're playing a match-3 game to feed your friends and family. And so, you know, when you get to certain levels, you get a gift, and the gift is this little postcard of you and Disney characters and your friends, you know, posed in the game, and you can share it on Facebook. So we're thinking more and more about these kind of really clever things, which are like, you know, what's the souvenir from the game, and the social souvenir, and how do I share that in a way that is interesting to other people? It's not just marketing or advertising.
So on the subject of Facebook and sharing, what is something you wish that we would build to make your job easier?
Well, one I was thinking about just the other day is I would love to figure out how to bring Facebook Messenger into our games in a deeper way, not just push into Messenger, but bring them in. I think there is something around, you know, people spend a lot of time setting up guilds and setting up, you know, increasingly the social dynamics are getting, you know, more and more elaborate in these games. And, you know, if we had having a way to extend that out into applications that people are using on a daily basis and not just keep that contained in the game, I think could help, you know, really explode the social possibilities within games. So that's my ask.
Right on. I'll have to write that down. What is something, so of all the Disney games that have been on Facebook, which one was your favorite, even if it's no longer in the lineup?
Well, Frozen Freefall is currently on Facebook, and it's doing really well for us. So I'd have to say that one is definitely one of our favorites.
Do you think that Disney would ever do?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a huge one. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Marvel Avengers Alliance.
Thank you.
It's our biggest free-to-play game ever in terms of success. It is, you know, still got a huge, passionate audience.
You scared me there. I thought you were going to sunset it or something.
No. I can't believe I blanked on that. But no, Avengers Alliance is just a phenomenon. It continues to be a phenomenon. It continues to over-deliver what we thought it could do at this stage in its life. It's 3 years old, past 3 years earlier this year, and that would definitely be our best Facebook game. So,
yay. So I actually forgot the transition question that I had, so this is totally not going to fit in at all. Do you see a consolidation in the web and mobile space? So Facebook is kind of in a weird in-between space ourselves, so we're kind of look at that, and so we were interested to see what a game developer might think of the same.
We're really focused on mobile and mobile platforms, and you know, we're focused especially on, we're primarily a Unity shop. We do some stuff with Unreal, but you know, if you look at what we're trying to do, which is enable a network of developers, both internally and externally, you really need to be on common tools and technology, because there's a lot of times that we want to share code, systems. The more we bring elaborate social systems and interconnections between our games, you know, we need a common platform to be able to do that on. And so, you know, right now we're on Unity. You know, I think that you're going to see at some point a resurgence in, I don't think PC gaming is dead by any standard. What I do think is that, you know, it's going to transition. It may not be in browser, but it may be downloaded in the app stores, you know. But, I mean, we've had, I say surprising, but I shouldn't say surprising, a good amount of success with Steam, and not just the kind of stuff that you would normally think of, but you know, Frozen Freefall is on Steam. We're doing, you know, we brought back most of the Lucas back catalog and put it on Steam. It's been very successful. So you know, we're seeing that as a marketplace on the PC as well.
That's awesome. So how does that affect your mobile strategy then going forward? Are you always going to build with that in the back of your mind? Well,
I think the thing that's changing now with, we're pretty excited about the Apple TV, Android TV, what those devices represent. And I think what you're going to see is that these games are going to evolve into much more complex ecosystems, where there's going to be a mobile component, there's going to be a TV component, there's going to be a PC component, and you're going to want to play your favorite games wherever you are, but the way you play them may be different. You know, when I'm playing on TV, I may want to play in a competitive multiplayer kind of, you know, synchronous in-room, you know, local kind of way. You know, when I'm on mobile, I probably want to play asynchronous against AI. So, you know, I think that what you're going to see is more and more games. Up until now, most games tend to be defined by a platform. I think you're going to see games that get defined by multi-platform. And that's what we're thinking about.
Us too. So pretend that you can see the future. What do you think will happen in the next 12 months in the mobile space?
I think that mobile, one of the things that I think is really, I don't buy into the hooey around, you know, the mobile space is stale and stagnant and let's all move on to VR. I think that right now mobile is getting to a place where it's becoming a real business for a lot of people. So it's not interesting to the people who are, you know, funding startups, but it's not as interesting as maybe it once was. But, you know, it is the largest gaming platform in the world. And now those operating systems, those technologies are going to be on your television. And one of the things that we found through research is that the primary, you know, while if you look in the living room, people have got consoles, you know, and cable boxes. When you go into the bedroom, and you know, people have 3, 4 TVs in their house, you know, those bedrooms are disproportionately connected to Rokus and Apple TVs and Fire TVs. And so, you know, I think you are going to see democratization. I think you're going to see the democratizing of games on the television in the way you saw it on mobile, but it's going to be with mobile technologies and mobile platforms. And this idea of mobile to TV, I think, is going to be a big idea. And so, you know, I think that the industry is only going to explode over the next year or 2 years there. I'm excited about VR. I also think that it's probably very early from a business perspective. So now is the time to be out there experimenting and learning. We're doing stuff like we invested in Jaunt. ILM has got X Labs, which, you know, I've said internally, if you could think of one team that you would want to put on our VR stuff, it's ILM, right? So we've got the right folks on it, but I think that is a longer play. And I think over the next 24 months, what's really going to blow up the industry is going to be mobile technology making it into television.
All right. In our last 1 minute and 20 seconds, is there anything I didn't ask you that you were hoping I would ask?
Yeah, so I have a guest here in the audience, Max, one of our fans from Club Penguin, who's come to see me. So thank you for coming.
I see the pointing. You're pointing.
Oh, there we go.
Hey.
And he knows me as Spike Hike on Club Penguin, but Club Penguin is celebrating its 10th anniversary in the next couple weeks. There were a lot of people who copied Club Penguin, but none of them really copied the secret sauce, which is that Club Penguin creates a safe place for kids to play online, and it is still our largest community product and going strong. You know, it's an honor to sort of see it reach that 10-year anniversary mark and have kids like Max who are super passionate about it.
That's awesome. All right, well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Closing remarks are coming up next, so don't bail on us.